Chapter 10, Tangled Vines. Hopefully you're all having a good day. If you did enjoy, like and share. Standing outside of a Ludus winery, you stare in shock between Lino and the ticket on his phone. Lino, why did you sign us up for a romantic couple's wine tasting tour?
It wasn't my first pick, but all the other tickets were sold out and I promised to get you into the winery at all costs.
I respect the hustle, but we can't pretend to be a couple. I mean, I love you as a friend, but I can't be your Felicia.
Is everything alright, ma'am?
You turn to find your tour guide looking at you with concern and strolling up beside her. Jody and Lino, what are you two doing here?
Apparently we have tickets. For the couples tasting tour? You two aren't even remotely a couple.
Is it true, ma'am? It's none of your goddamn business. We got the tickets. Screw you.
Well, we're not a couple, but we are a couple of people who came a long way to have some wine. That's right, me and my bestie here hardly ever get to visit wine country.
I'm always working. Lino's going to be a father any day now.
I might not be able to go wine tasting ever again. At least for another 18 years.
So can you please let us in, for the sake of this soon-to-be very sober daddy?
Please.
Rebecca frowns, but Blake can't help cracking a smile.
Well, you do have tickets, and who is Ludus Winery to judge what a couple means? But let's our tour begin, then. Everyone please follow me.
At that, she turns towards the winery, and a miracle of miracles ushers everyone, you and Lino included, towards it. I'm glad that lady was understanding about the ticket mix-up. Sorry you couldn't get in on a different day. Blake falls in beside both of you with a small grin. Yeah, Lino must have clicked the wrong ticket package.
Felicia recommended that I, do something fun with Jody before my daddy duties cut into our friendship time.
Yeah, I'm sure she did. She loops her arm through Blake's and yet another unnecessary PDA. Who are you to say unnecessary? And lowers her voice, but you can't help feeling like you were meant to hear it because you certainly do.
Today was supposed to be about us, babe. I was hoping we could skip the third and fourth wheels.
I'm sorry, Bex. I know we haven't had much one-on-one time, but part of going on a group trip means spending time with all my favorite people, and that includes Jody and Lino. Blake speaks up, his expression brightening as he glances towards you and Lino. We can all enjoy the tour together, right?
Right.
Totally, my dude. The tour guide ushers you all past the winery itself into a vineyard where rows upon rows of grapes glisten in the sun. Before we get to the wine itself, we like to show our visitors where it comes from. The first vines of Ludus Winery were planted by Winifred Ludus in 1862, and we're still harvesting grapes here today.
1862, damn. Y'all have been in wine business for a while then.
With a vineyard this old, there must be a lot of history here.
Indeed, this place was established. Winifred Ludus dedicated the first harvest to her lover, Velma Paulson. Ah, true love ship. Ah, I shipped them together already.
But this love story has a wrinkle. Velma was engaged to a man at the time. But that didn't stop Winifred from building a winery on the field where they first met as a love letter to her. Wow. She's an inspiration to those in similar circumstances. Good on her for not letting that guy get in the way of true love. It was truly something special. Winifred gave up everything to show her love to Velma. Even Rebecca lets out an aw, and Blake looks oddly thoughtful. So Velma, did she... Yes, the two of them lived happily ever after to the ripe old age of 90. Because when you're in love with someone and, you know, you have a lot of good times together and none of that relationship hubbubaloo about finding the right person. Kind of like Up, really good movie, by the way. Wow, love always finds a way. You steal a glance at Blake and the obstacle standing in the way of your true love story. It has to, doesn't it? Not always.
We like to think of this place as a love story between the winery and the vineyard grapes, much like the love stories that brought you here.
Not most of us.
Oh, pipe down. Would any of our couples care to share how they met? Perhaps you two.
She points at Blake and Rebecca because the universe is just petty like that. Oh, sure. Beck and I met at the Foodie Awards thing. She brought a mutual friend of ours along, and when she introduced us, we just hit it off like that.
And now here we are, with all of you.
Despite her smile, she gives you a pointed look that's as warm as an Arctic summer.
You should hear how I met my wife. Picture it. I'm a freshman at orientation, and as delightful as that sounds, since your wife is not here, perhaps we can continue down the grapevine and carry on. You'll all be picking grapes. I'd like you to envision not only the future that lies ahead of those grapes, but also your own. Where do you see yourselves 10 years from now, when the wines you bottled today will still be aging?
Also, can I just say something real quick? Lena's wife is pregnant, about to give birth any day now, and you're giving him shit because he wasn't able to come here with his wife. Yeah, no, this is canceled already. Someone somewhere on, like, Twitter is doing that right now.
10 years from now, I'll be bracing myself for my baby's tween years.
I'll be 40 and married to my true love. At least I hope I will. It takes every ounce of your self-control not to glance at Blake. I believe in you, Valor. Any guy would be lucky to have you.
I don't want just anyone, though. I want... And what about you two? Well, if things go the way, by the time getting close to 40, I'll be editor-in-chief of Travel Bites.
I'm hoping to have one of those stilt houses in the hills overlooking the bay. Somewhere cute, quiet to settle down. You suddenly remember our conversation with Eve over a campfire about Rebecca's travel priorities.
Settle down, is that what you want, Rebecca? Eve told me you're pretty much always on the road for work. I am. I don't mind having a landing pad, of course, but I never want to stay in one place forever. I sense trouble in opposite paradise.
That sounds like you don't really want to settle down anywhere, Bex.
I don't know about that. I just want to have options about where to live, you know?
Sure, options are great, but so's putting down roots and becoming part of a community. For once, Rebecca looks genuinely taken aback. Lena nudges you with a grin.
We could totally pull harder on these threads. Trust me, couples aren't on the same page about their futures never work out. The more they talk about it, the more Blake's gotta see that things with Rebecca can't last long term.
You know me, this whole entire book I've tried not to approach this, and tried not to tear this apart. But this is a diamond choice, and I know you all probably want me to click it. So here we go. Rebecca opens her mouth like she's about to grasp for a change of subject, but you speak up first. It sounds like you two have stumbled upon something you need to discuss. Good communication is healthy, right, Lena?
That's how Felicia and I kept the romance alive all those years, talking about our fears, hopes, dreams, goals.
I agree. Communication is great, but maybe we can talk about some of that stuff later.
I don't mind getting it out now.
Rebecca shoots you a pointed look before fixing Blake with her sweetest smile.
I'm sure we're mostly on the same page, right, babe?
Sure. Okay, so when you both picture a wedding, what do you see?
Well, I've always dreamed of having a big wedding with all my friends and family. It'll be over 300 people.
Oh, and Blake, I can see, is a small gathering. It sounds like a lot. When I think of weddings, I picture something more intimate with only close friends and family. Yep, I'm like him. Bex, it sounds like you want to invite everyone you know.
Well, yeah. A wedding would be the most important events of my life.
Well, that doesn't mean everybody has to be there.
I think small weddings are great too. There's no need to complicate things with a small theater's worth of people. And frankly, if you do that, you may end up with a small theater's worth of drama too.
That's partly what I'm worried about, especially if my family is involved.
It's great to start airing out these concerns now. You want to sort out all these differences as early as possible.
Lena gives you a knowing wink because he tries to address Blake.
Oh yeah, we were talking about stuff like that as a month into our relationship.
1 month? Damn, Lena, isn't that early? I mean, it depends. Kinda isn't. I have to say it is, but it depends on how head over heels you fall for somebody. Rebecca squeezes Blake's hand.
Don't worry, babe. Just because we have different ideas about weddings or where to live doesn't mean we're not on the same path.
You're right, Rebecca.
I am?
Because where you settle down isn't all that matters. I'm sure you have the same ideas about family size that Blake's always had, right?
How do you know what kind of family Blake wants?
Because most people let that be aired out and like, hey, I want kids or I don't.
We chatted about it back at Clark. And we both
like the idea of a small family. I always saw me and my significant other having like 2 kids, physically replacing us when we eventually pass on. Plus, we know Lena would never let it go if we didn't have a baby Jody, a best friend to grow up with.
Again, not my baby's name. But you aren't wrong. They do deserve a bestie to grow up with. Agreed. 2 kids is the right amount for me. If you blend on family, you must be thinking of a late retirement too, right?
A late retirement?
To make the most of our careers and save up to make retirement something truly special.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
That's not at all what Blake said to me back in college.
Sophomore year, as you and Lena have yet another existential crisis on the quad. We've only been in college for 2 years, and now they want us to commit to a major and a whole career? Yeah, it's like doing high school, but at least my high school.
I can barely commit to what I'm having for lunch. Just pick a generic major like philosophy. It's not that important.
Yes it is, actually.
On what planet, whatever major we pick will shape our career path for decades. Well, okay, when you put it like that, maybe it is important.
You two are so dramatic. Maybe you should both major in theater.
Actually, I was considering a dramaturgy minor.
Before you can retort, Blake strolls over, and you can't help but feel a little calmer when you see him smile. I did it. You all are now talking to a nutritional science major.
Blake, how did you manage to choose?
It was tough, but I've always enjoyed cooking, so it just seemed like a good fit.
So, would you say you're following your gut?
Pretty much, yeah.
That's a good one. Is there a major in Felicia wisdom? Because I'd love to take that if I could.
There is. It's called Choose a Major, you fool, or I'm never kissing you again.
Jody, tell me what I want to be when I grow up quick.
I'm guessing that means you're not ready to go see the career advisor. No, that's too much pressure.
You should have heard her before you got her. This is going to shape our career path for decades.
Like shrugs, offering you a comforting smile. Maybe, but only for a few decades if you plan to retire young.
Is that your plan?
Yeah. I'm excited to take my shot at professional chef life and see where that leads. But I want older Blake to have time to cool retirement stuff. Volunteering with a community food group, soup kitchen, you know? Blake stands there for a moment with a grin on his face until he realizes all 3 of you are looking at him. He clears his throat. Maybe it's silly now that I've said it out loud, but,
no, it's not. It's great that you know what you want from life. It's not silly. It's incredible that you found your passion.
I don't think anyone's ever called me passionate about anything before.
Then you haven't seen your face when you're making a ratatouille from scratch.
Blake smiles at you. There's so much gratitude in his eyes that you feel your cheeks growing warm.
I'm more of a fan of his face when he's making a gourmet grilled cheese.
Okay, well, we know my future. What about yours?
Maybe I should retire now. When it comes to ideas, I've got a whole lot of nothing. Life is tough. Life is tough.
really is, especially when making a decision that critical. I can definitely see it. Back in the Ludus vineyard, Blake's always wanted to retire early. He's just agreeing to placate Rebecca. Glanced at Blake, and for a moment you could swear his gaze meets yours. But then he turns to put on a smile for Rebecca. So we're on the same page, right, Bex?
Right. Well, I, for one, am glad you two finally found a point to agree on, and just in time to start collecting our grapes.
Only because he's trying to be what he thinks Rebecca wants. You deserve better, Blake. And say that for a lot of us. Once everyone has collected a basket of grapes, the guide leads you into a room full of glistening industrial wine equipment, you assume.
This is where we convert your lovely grapes into wine, allowing you to become part of a wine-making process.
That's so cool. We're gonna become honorary winemakers.
I'm more of a fan of the wine-drinking part. We have 3 different processes going, each with a different flavor of wine. Find one that speaks to you and add your grapes to that batch.
Your group strolls around the room reading the description of flavor notes on each processor.
Ooh, the first one has notes of honeydew and green apples. The second one has a berry base, and the third one is an enticing floral. I wish I could sample them all, but if I can only pick one, I gotta go with a fruity 5, honeydew and apples. I respect that, but I'm a woman of refined floral tastes.
Floral's a classic, but the berry batch sounds inventive. I want to try something new. Everyone begins adding their grapes to the processor of their choice. I'll add my grapes to fruity batch, floral batch, berry batch. You would think that the grapes... I don't know, they can either accentuate the berries well, or like the grapes will be buried under the berries. It depends. It really, like, from, because I make the occasional smoothie, right? I know it's different than wine, trust me, but I kind of think of, like, I like the honeydew and apple. It's damn it, I'm gonna go with Blake, I guess. You step up next to Blake and toss in your grapes. You up for a berry-infused tasting adventure? I'm trusting the taste of our professional chef. You know your flavors. I'm no sommelier, though. I hope it doesn't disappoint. If it backfires on us, at least we'll be disappointed together.
Now that all of your grapes are on their way to the next phase of their evolution, it's time to name the batch of wine you've created. We like to name each batch after a quality we aspire to, or for those on our couples tour, the thing you love most about your partner. Only one thing with a catch, like you, babe. It'd be hard to choose.
He takes everything and you're not to gag, as Rebecca runs her fingers down his arm before going in for a kiss.
Stunning. How about stunning? Huh? Though I'd also call Felicia statuesque, but which one should I go with?
Either fits, so, your call. I wish I could name my batch after one of Blake's best qualities. For a moment, you catch his eye, and his lips curve into that irresistible grin until Rebecca steps in between you.
My sweetheart. That's what I'll name the wine, because you're my sweetheart.
Okay. A little on the nose, Bex, but I'm flattered. You turn to Lino, making a face where only he can see you. That's not even a personal quality. Love to name a batch after Bex over there. Like, love poacher, controlled tyrant, you basic. Oh my god. Wow, we're naming after her. I'm gonna go with Control Tyrant, I will say that.
Actually sounds kind of cool, like a wine with some attitude.
It's evil that Rebecca's suppressing Blake's wants. Rebecca's laughter rings across the room, sending your heart sinking that she's hearing a joke Blake should have said to you. Sorry, for some reason the day is a bit rough. Well, lucky for you, I know exactly how to get you some solo time with Blake. Lino gives you a wink and settles over to Rebecca. Listen, Rebecca, I want to apologize for accidentally crashing your date. You do? Yeah, I know us being here isn't the ideal, but at least we get to bond a bit more, right? I'd love to send Felicia a selfie. That would mean a lot, Lino. I'd love a photo with you, but the lighting in here isn't the best. There's some good light and just outside. Come on, it'll be just a minute. Yeah, sure, is a surprisingly willing Rebecca outside, leaving you free to join Blake. So, Control Tyrant sounds ominous. Maybe if you're scared of a little attitude, the bottle's label is going to come with instructions. Oh, so the bottle is bossy about how you consume it? Yep, best part is that when the label recommends drinking this while you're not wearing pants. Sounds brilliant. So what about you? What Rebecca quality are you going to name this batch after? I'm still thinking about that. She has so many great qualities, it's kind of hard to pin down one, you know? Yep, including for her need to feel for like 10 different apartments around the world. Yeah. He laughs, but there's not a lot of warmth in it. Your heart aches for him. After that, surprise, I have to ask, are you and Rebecca doing alright? Always. I'm just trying to go with the flow, not put too many expectations on our future together, you know? But even as he says the words, a smile doesn't quite reach his eyes. I bet it's hard to go with the flow when Rebecca keeps trying to steer you down a different path. And I'm glad she found this tour. It's fun they let us name our batches. If you were making a batch from me, what would you call it? Hang on, Ballard. You first. What would you name my batch? I'd call it hot and spicy. You're never gonna let that award go, are you? Absolutely not. Especially since it's true. All the giant vats of alcohol must be somehow getting to you because you step forward, lowering your voice as you give Blake a playful smile. When I think of you, hot is always the first word that comes to mind. Blake looks honestly. You aren't sure what his expression means. Is he flustered, embarrassed, flattered? Maybe it's time to backpedal. Because you're the spice of my life. Haha, good one, Ballard. But that curious look on his face doesn't quite fade as you nudge him. So, what's your answer? I'd call you a batch clever girl. What am I, a velociraptor? Yes! Okay, they at least got that. Blake blinks at you for a moment, then bursts into laughter. I didn't mean it like that. You're one of the smartest people I know. As you both dissolve into laughter again, you overhear the tour guide ushering some other guests across the room. Oh, my apologies, but we can't take that stairway. The cellar is reserved for our private after-dark tastings. What do we think is an after-dark tasting is? I read about those. It's a private romantic tasting where they blindfold the couple. It's supposed to heighten your senses during the experience. Sounds awfully intimate. I bet they stash extra good stuff in those private tasting rooms too. It's a shame we don't get to check them out on this tour. Not unless Blake and I snuck off for a blindfold tasting of our own. Take Blake for a tasting. Grab Blake's hand and head towards the stairway the tour guide mentioned. What are you doing? Finding Mr. Hot and Spicy some fine wine. Don't have to tell me twice. The stairway leads down to a hallway lined with a half a dozen closed doors. Finding a half-open door with an empty room, Blake leads you inside. To a lavish wine cellar. Wow, looks like they already have this room set up, including some very expensive wine. As Blake browses through the wines, you continue to explore a small room until you find a satin blindfold sitting on a chair. You weren't lying about the blindfolds. You'd be amazed how just doing something blindfolded changes the whole experience. Some restaurants make their guests eat whole meals blindfolded. A bit extreme, if you ask me, but there's science behind it. That sounds odd. Well, there is an alluring mystery to it. And you'd have to have a lot of trust in the person blindfolding you. Give Blake a coy smile and feel your cheeks flush at the thought of using the blindfold. Good thing there's no lack of trust here. You eye the blindfold, and it seems like too good an opportunity to pass up. What if we used it? He whistles softly, looking intrigued. Bold idea, Ballard, but I happen to be feeling a little bold. Here, take a seat. I'll put it on. Blake gives you an encouraging smile as you sit in the chair, fighting to contain the butterflies in your stomach as you watch him approach with the blindfold. Sit still while he puts it on. Your heart pounds as Blake's fingers brush your cheeks, and you slide the mask over your face. Okay, what do I do now for the ultimate wine tasting experience? How many fingers am I holding up? I'm here for wine, not quizzes. Just checking that the blindfoldings are working. Don't want you to cheat. For a moment, all you hear is your own heart beating. Then you hear a loud pop. Oof, that one had some kick to him. That's how you know it's a good bottle. You sit in total darkness, hearing a clink of glass, followed by the sloshing of liquid as soft footsteps approach you. A bubbly, fruity scent fills the air. What do you smell? Almost like strawberries or maybe grapefruit? Your nose is on point, but let's test your tongue. Taste your tongue. Yes, test your tongue. The wine glass presses against your lips, firm but gentle. You take a sip, the familiar light and minerally taste of wine washing into your mouth. Is this a rose? Right on the money. As luck would have it, these shelves are well stocked. Then we'd better try as many of these bottles as we can. You hear a fridge door opening and the sound of a plate being set on a table. But before the next tasting, how about a palate cleanser? You suddenly feel the warmth of his hand on yours as he guides the wine glass away before an earthy aroma fills the air. Owen wine. As if he needs to tell you twice, your lips drift apart, almost without you thinking of it, as Blake slides a piece of cheese into your mouth. It's deliciously nutty, pungent, but all you think about is the feeling of his fingers brushing against your lips. Your skin almost feels electric, each touch amplified. Oops, got a few crumbs stuck on me. Oh, none of them fell on you. Maybe I can help with that. Yeah, the crumbs are on his fingers, fam. Before he can pull away, you reach up into the darkness, grasping his wrist to hold him in place. You wrap your lips around his finger, suck it clean, the salty taste of cheese mingling with the sensation of, well, the fact that you're actually doing this. You can't see his face, but you hear him take a sharp breath before he pulls away. Better? Yeah, thanks. You hear Blake move back to his prep station and pop open a second bottle of wine. Now that we've cleansed your palate with the goat cheese, let's see how the second glass compares to the first. The anticipation is even stronger than the last time as his footsteps stop next to you and the strong smell of wine flooding your senses. This one smells like jam, maybe also pepper. And how does it taste? Blake tilts the glass against your lips until the wine trickles in your mouth. He isn't even touching you, and yet somehow it's one of the most intimate things you've ever felt. Full, richer, almost savory. Wait, is that Cabernet Franc? Take off your blindfold and find out. Whoa, a Petite Syrah. I don't know what that means, but I do know I like it. There are so many different kinds of flavors in the world. Isn't it amazing? Sure, that isn't nothing on the side of Blake leaning against the table, gently rubbing his chin with the hand he fed you with. Yeah, amazing. So, did the blindfold live up to the hype? Absolutely. It really heightened my sense of taste. I'm no wine expert, but the flavors really stood out. Intense, right? And delicious. I couldn't get enough of that goat cheese. You remember the feeling of his fingers brushing your lips, your tongue lapping against him. Glad you, enjoyed the experience. Now it's time to return the favor. Take a seat and put on the blindfold. He chuckles before trading places with you, settling onto the chair. Alright, just be gentle with me. No promises. As Blake puts on the blindfold, you pluck a bottle from one of the top shelves and pour him a glass. With Blake blindfolded, I can do just about anything to him. I wonder what sense would be the most fun to play with. I'll brush his hand as I hold up the wine. You step closer to Blake and slowly lift the glass to his nose for him to smell. The bottle says you should be smelling cherry and rose petals. Want to taste? Blake nods in agreement and then holds out a hand. You help him clasp his fingers around the glass's stem, letting your fingers tangle together. For a moment, you're both holding the glass, his hand clasped in yours. When you finally pull away, your fingers brush the back of his knuckles. Blake almost seems to shiver as he sips the wine. Well, how is it? He takes the blindfold off. He looks breathless, vulnerable, more irresistible than you've ever seen him before. Perfect. He's so close and we're all alone. But before you can even think about leaning in, last call for batch names, everyone, and our tour will continue. As the tour guide's voice echoes down from the room above, you and Blake pull apart. We should probably get back, yeah. Thankfully, when you get back, no one seems to have noticed your absence. Not even Blake. Rebecca rushes back into the winery floor with Lino in tow, making a beeline for you and Blake. Sorry for keeping Rebecca all to myself, but our selfie for Felicia turned into a fashion shoot around half the winery. Rebecca smiles at Lino, looking for all the world like she actually had a good time. We practically went on the rest of the tour ourselves. But then her gaze falls on you and Blake. I just hope you weren't too bored without me. We managed. We always do. Yeah, I'm sure you do. One tour and a generous tip to your guide later, you head back to the cabin with Lino, Blake, and Rebecca. My sommeliers finally return. Please tell me you brought a little something back for your old pal Eve. I wouldn't leave you feeling left out. I got one finely aged Cab Sauv for you. You're the best, Lino. I take it everyone else had fun? I feel like we learned a lot about each other today. The tour gave us a chance to think about the future for our grapes and ourselves. You glance over at Rebecca, who puts on a smile, but beside her, Blake is unusually quiet. I couldn't be happier for it. The future may have challenges, but I feel like it brought Blake and I closer. Rebecca squeezes his hand, but all he does is look away. Yeah, today's been a real eye-opener. Maybe Blake's finally realizing that Blake isn't right for him. Yeah, with your meddling. Without further ado, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down in the description of the video. Plenty of things to check out there. Leave your comments down below, letting me know what you thought of this video, this story so far, and the whole 9 yards. You know my take on it. But I want to know yours. But, without further ado, love your beautiful faces. Catch you all in the next video. Peace.